This thing's really cool, at least cool looking. The automobile maker Fisker has invited us out to get a sneak peek at its new vehicle, the Ocean. Remember a few years ago when there was a hurricane that hit New York and a bunch of cars got set on fire in the harbor? Well, that was Fisker. But they're back now, and they aren't hybrids. It's an electric SUV. And we're gonna get a sneak peek at it. We get to see what it's all about, the design details, up close and personal. I'm really excited to take a look at this thing. And my boss is over somewhere talking to Henrik Fisker, the guy that designed this car, the designer at the head of this company, which is kind of unique. A lot of times you don't get designers at the heads of company. They have to kind of kowtow to the decisions of others. But here, clearly design is in the lead. I read the press kit last night and it was all about design. So let's take a close look at the design, look at the interior, talk about the specs. To get a cash offer on your car today, go to edmunds.com/sellmycar. Who doesn't like cash, right? And if you want more information on the Fisker Karma and all of its competitors or any other car, feel free to click the link in the description below. Press like and subscribe. We appreciate it. Let's take a look at all the design details. This is my first time seeing the car in person. I just kind of want to soak it all in, walk through it with you a little bit. The first thing that I notice is the lights on the front of the car. They're all in different, kind of unique places. Not a lot of cars get two light up kind of emblems on the front of what would be a grille, but there's no grille here. It's down below for some cooling for the batteries. And here you have the Fisker logo, which has two lines, one for the designer's pencil and the other for the designer's ruler, then orange and blue for a sunset. I mean, that's a designer's Easter egg cue right up front, which is really cool. I love the way the front of it moves, and actually these hood lines are kind of deceiving because there's gonna be no frunk. You don't have any front storage. The Fisker Ocean is a front wheel drive based car, so you need that space up front for technical bits and wires, which we got to see a little bit of earlier. Shh, don't tell anybody. So as you move along the side of the car, I love the profile. This looks really aggressive down here. And these indicator lights are actually separate from the headlights. So in a lot of modern luxury vehicles, you get an integrated turn signal in the headlight. But what that does is, if you ever looked in your rearview mirror, when the turn signal goes on, the headlight has to turn off. That's part of the regulations of the vehicle. With this one, it's in a different place, so you can get the indicator and have the headlight stay on. As you move back on the car, one of the things I really love about this design, when it first popped up out of the truck, it's such a wide stance. I'm a car modifying kind of guy. I love the idea of widening the stance of stuff, but this already comes with that widened stance. It looks bold and big, even though the dimensions are pretty similar to something like a Tesla Model Y. That's one of its most direct competitors. As you move down the side of the vehicle, there's some other great little details too. The first thing that stood out to me was these nice sweeping lines in the rear view mirror. I mean, that's super cool. And then the second thing that stood out to me are these pressed carbon wheels. Look at that. They call them the F3 Slipstreams. I don't know if there's going to be a fight for the copyright on that name with Rhoda and the Slipstream wheels they make, but the F3 Slipstreams, these are 22s, big wheels, right? Not that big of a vehicle, but there's still plenty of sidewall. Maybe that'll mean it's good on-road comfort. As you move down the side, this is a really clean slate. There's not a lot of aggressive, angular character lines. There's just this nice kind of sweeping bit at the bottom. And those fenders, both back and front, move in nicely. Then you get this nice straight line that works its way underneath the windows all the way back. You can tell that a designer was in control of this, that there weren't sacrifices or compromises made for the design language. And what it's in right now is called California mode, where you can drop all eight including the sunroof, windows down, everything. These back quarter windows, right on through. These all open, sunroof open, and a lot like a Toyota 4Runner or a Tundra, boom, the back is open. This window drops down into the tailgate too. Really cool design features here, a little bit for aero. These are indicators as well up on the sides, but they're super well integrated into the side of the vehicle. Big fan of that. And then finally, as you move around the rear of the vehicle, the wide stance is just on display. This thing looks like it's squatted down. It doesn't feel so much like an SUV as it does almost a boxy wagon with an aggressive look. I don't think this has the same feel as stuff that's lifted or feels like it's meant to be a family hauler. This seems sporty, especially with the slim taillight lines here, this really thin integrated third brake light, the thin tail lights here, again, the lit up emblem on display back here, and then the underneath of the car with this diffuser that looks sort of race car-ish, right? I love that design cue. The outside of this is stunning but understated. You can totally tell the designer's at the helm of it. And honestly, I can't find anything I don't like about the design. Even 3-spoke wheels, which I would have said, oh yeah, that'll be totally weird. Nope, they work here. Now that I'm done breaking down the outside of this vehicle, let's take a look inside and see what that's all about. So before I get into the details of the interior, there's something I missed on the outside that I kind of want to talk about for a second. Honestly, like if you think back into the late 90s, early 2000s, everything on the EV or hybrid list was kind of a box that wasn't exciting. But if you look at vehicles like this today, that is transformed about EVs. We're talking about exciting, luxury, high performance, fast stuff. And I think the Fisker Karma, the original one, was kind of at the helm of that. And I see some of those same design cues in this vehicle, but it's a lot of new stuff. I like this steering wheel. Not a huge fan of the flat bottom, but it's not too aggressive. And I like the materials that are used on the dashboard in front of me. So we're pivoting here to, I guess, what they call the recyclable materials, the bits of this car that are sustainable. They use recycled t-shirts for the dashboard or recycled fishing nets for the carpets on the floor. There's a lot of stuff in here that is, as they say, environmentally friendly. It's all vegan leather, so it's not sourced from a cow. And that's one of the things about Fisker's process that they say is different. Everything is going to be sustainable. Now, we'll see how that comes to pass in years in the future, but I really like the idea of it. It sounds like a great way to sell a car. One of the things we can demonstrate today is the screen switching from landscape to portrait mode and back. And apparently while you're driving, it's just in portrait mode, and you can only put it into landscape when you're parked. This car actually doesn't go into production for a full year. This is such an early prototype that the first ones are only going to be built in November of 2022. And the cheap ones, the ones they say will be $37,500 before federal tax credits, those won't go into production until November 2023. So you're gonna have to wait. Oh, and guess what? The first 5,000, they're already spoken for. The reservations are in, and those are gonna be the high trim levels that cost nearly $70,000. That's before destination and fees. Hopefully we get the $37,500 version eventually, and it's not vaporware like, never mind, I won't mention the company name, but I do like what this one shows us in terms of design. I love this series of buttons here. It doesn't feel like it's pulled from any other vehicle. I really like the materials, the kind of faux suede used on the headliner, and everything is clean and the lines move extremely well. This would be a really nice place to be, so it makes sense as a luxury vehicle, but the success of this will be based on whether or not they can sell the mid-range and the base models. Sure, everybody, Tesla included, is selling the more expensive versions of vehicles first and then going to the cheaper ones. You get all those reservations and it helps you make some cars. This one, though, really seems to justify its luxury price, especially if you're looking for something that's, according to Fisker anyway, environmentally friendly. The cool, quirky design, actually I wouldn't even call it quirky, I'd call it pretty sexy design on the outside, works its way into the interior. I love these seats. The way they move around up here, this kind of continuous line, and then the stitching that only goes down one side, that kind of asymmetrical look to them that flows into the dashboard. It is really impressive to look at. And guess what? When you show up to pick up your friends, they're going to be happy to sit here. It's an excellent movement through the interior. The dashboard moves well, and you've got spaces what I assume will be for wireless charging of smartphones. Weirdly shaped, but good sized cup holders, and the rest of it seems to feel luxurious even on this pre-production model where there are some quirks and buttons that aren't exactly working yet. Let's look at the back seat, see what space is like back there, but so far I'm pretty impressed. This feels like the future. Well, the back seat, it would appear, is similar to the front seat, and there's these asymmetrical designs on the seat. I love the materials. It feels really nice back here. This is a little bit close, even adjusted for my position. At about 5'9", this is a little bit low for me, so you don't want too much in terms of tall adults sitting in the back seat, but it seems wide enough back here. There is a little bit of cramp in the shoulder room, which is kind of strange, but other than that, it's a perfectly likable back seat. Note about that solar roof, by the way, that thing can add up to 2,000 miles a year of charge to your vehicle just based on sun power. Now that's probably if you live somewhere near the equator where it's sunny all year long. I don't know how circadian rhythms work. I think that's what a circadian rhythm is.
I think you're putting him to sleep anyway.
Anyhow, the solar roof can get you 1,000 to 1,500 miles of range in a city like Los Angeles, or as Fisker puts it, in ideal conditions, up to 2,000 miles of free range from the sun all year long, which is kind of cool. You know, it adds up to about 3 miles a day of range, but still pretty impressive. And that's about it. I mean, the car's here. We can't drive it. I'm really excited to drive it when it comes out, but it's going to be a long time before we can do that. Let's talk about specs though, and just what it's going to look like on a sheet when it's compared to its rivals. In the base version, there'll be lithium-ion batteries. In upper trim levels, the ones with 340 or 350 miles of range, there will be nickel, magnesium, cobalt, nickel batteries. There'll be nickel batteries. I can't pronounce that. Performance from these different models will be pretty varying. 0 to 60 times in the 275 horsepower model will only be 6.9 seconds. That's not very fast. But with the 550 horsepower model at the top of the range, Fisker is estimating 3.6 seconds, which is really quick. So that's it, the Fisker Ocean. It's a really cool looking vehicle. It's got some really promising features and some really promising numbers. I'm not sure if it'll deliver on all that stuff, but I'm excited to see if it can. And I'm excited to see the looks of it. This is not bland, it's not boring, and it's really fun to have a designer at the helm of something. It shows up in the details. For more information on the Fisker Ocean, all of its competitors, click that link in the description below, press like and subscribe, and hey, let me know what you think about it. Do you hate the design? Do you love it? Do you want to see more of it? I don't know, I'm gonna go make more rhymes over here.